Alright, so in this video we'll do something a little bit different. I'm gonna be ranking the games that I've missed out on over the years. So these are games that I always had like an idea that I was going to play them eventually, but then I just never got around to it. And I'm gonna be ranking them based on how good I think they are, or how much I think I would enjoy them if I were to go and play them now. So it's kind of a way to gauge what sort of games I would want to go back to and maybe filter out which ones are probably not worth the time. And then along the way, I want you to comment about the games that you know stuff about. So if I say something wrong about a game, or if you disagree or agree with something, feel free to leave a comment. And then, if you want to watch me stream some of these games, let me know which one you think would be most interesting and which you recommend me the most to play, based on where I rank them and your knowledge of the game. Alright, so with that said, let's just get going. I think we should start with ranking something at each end of the spectrum, just so that we kind of have like a baseline. And I think we can start with Cyberpunk. I think that goes in S tier. I did not play this when it came out, because we all know how it was when that game launched. And then, from what I've seen, later on they've added so much good stuff to it and updated it. And apparently it's really good now. So I would like to play this. I do need to upgrade my CPU first though. That's the only thing about that one. Alright, so that's our first S tier game. I'll try to not linger on each game too much, because we got quite a few here. But I'll just say what I need to say about each one and then we move on. Alright, so now we could put something in D tier just to kind of set the baseline. So let's look for something that's maybe D tier. Let's find something. Let's see, maybe... This is a weird one. Matrix Online. That was something I saw back in the day. That was this like MMO RPG looking thing set in the Matrix universe. And people were like walking all over this like huge city. And back then it looked like really crazy, like, oh, you can explore this whole city in the Matrix universe. But if I think about it now, it probably wouldn't be that interesting to go and play that. But back then it looked very cool, so I always had it in the back of my mind that that would be cool to try one day. But then I never did. Okay. Let's put something else in D tier maybe. Maybe this Black and White game. I think this is like a Peter Molyneux game, or what's the name of the guy who made Fable, basically. I think that's his name. It's either that or it's some politician with a similar name, I'm not sure. But I think it was Peter. And yeah, I remember Fable was very good. And I remember this being something I thought was interesting. But right now, I think it might be a bit outdated. Maybe it won't be that interesting. Also, I'm just kind of basing every opinion on what I know here now. So I'm not doing any additional research. It's just like based on my experience or knowledge or thoughts about it, based on just what I know. So there's no research, which makes it more fun. So maybe there's some things I will get right, and maybe some things that will be completely wrong. We'll just have to see what happens. Okay, and let's go with maybe Escape from Monkey Island, those games. I do really like Broken Sword and Gabriel Knight and stuff like that. So this is sort of like a classic franchise that I missed out on somehow. I think I only played the demo for one of them on PC at one point, back when you got like demos on CDs and magazines and stuff. And I think I would really like to play this on the channel here, so I want to play all of these. So I think it goes in A tier. I think that's pretty fair. Then let's see. Metal Gear Solid 4, because I didn't have PlayStation 3. I think it came out on. From what I've heard, it's very cutscene heavy. So I'm not sure how much I would like to go back to that one. I might put it at C for now. Yeah, I've heard some complaints about it being a little bit like a cutscene simulator, but maybe that's wrong. But for me right now, that's what I'm feeling. It's also one of those games, if you want to go play it, you probably have to use an emulator or something. And that's just like an extra hassle that I'm just not probably gonna do. There's probably, at some point, there's probably gonna be a remake or something. Who knows? But leave a comment about that, and we'll see. Let's see. The whole Final Fantasy franchise as a whole. This might be a tricky one. I think I could put it at... I think we can allow myself to put that in S tier. Depending... Actually, let's put it at the top of A tier, because from what I've seen... So obviously there's many Final Fantasy games. So I'm kind of just basing this opinion on maybe... Okay, let's base it on the best game in the series. Like, if I were to play the one that I would like the most, I would probably put it in S tier. But if we're talking about the whole Final Fantasy thing, it might be a little bit frustrating, because I know a lot of these PC versions now, they're not that optimized and are crashing a lot. So yeah, but if we're playing if the presumption is that the game will work, I think Final Fantasy is pretty high. Sekiro, that's another one I missed out on. I think I can put that in A tier. Maybe above... Yeah, above Monkey Island. I really like Dark Souls, I like Elden Ring, I like Black Myth Wukong, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. Really good. So yeah, I'll put that there. And speaking of that, there should be Demon Souls in here somewhere, although I guess we'll find it eventually. It's too hard to just pick it out right now. So let's just pick something else for now. The whole Zelda franchise. Ooh, that's probably another... That might be... maybe here. Because I never really got to play those. I think I played a little bit of one of them on like Super Nintendo back in the day. But like the Breath of the Wild stuff and some of the more modern ones and the N64 ones, I never really got to play them other than like 5 minutes at a friend's house or something. So I never really got to play those. But I think if I were to play like the best one in the series for me, I would probably enjoy that a lot. So that's an interesting one. I'll put that pretty high. And people really like those games. It has a huge following, you know. So there's probably a good reason for that. Let's see. We could go with Vice City Stories. This is like those like yeah, maybe like because they did those like spin-off games, and I think they were only on like PlayStation Portable or something, so I never got around to playing those. I was interested in them, but you know, never got around to it. I guess it's just like probably a slightly worse version of Vice City, kind of. Like it's just like maybe a little less fleshed out. Maybe it's fun, I don't know, but I think it's not gonna be something crazy, but I mean, I'll put it there. Half-Life Alyx, that might actually, based on what I've heard, that might actually go very high. My only problem is I don't have a VR headset, but from what I've heard, and also just the hype of like waiting for Half-Life 3, I think this would be very fun. So I definitely want to play that here eventually. It's just I need to get that VR stuff going first. Okay, moving on. This is another weird one. Star Wars Galaxies. This is a game that I saw as like a MMO sort of thing, RPG back in the day. I saw it at the store and I was just thinking, this looks like a really like cool Star Wars RPG. But it was like an online game, so I guess it's kind of defunct now. And I think there was something where they made some update to it that everybody hated, and then everybody abandoned the game or something. I think there was like a big event there. And if I went back to it these days, even if there was like people playing it, there probably still are some people doing it, but I'm guessing it wouldn't be that cool now. Yeah, but I mean, who knows? I just remember back in the day it was very intriguing because it looked like a sort of RPG and proper RPG experience type of thing, which I like. So I was interested in that. Okay, let's go with. Oh, there's Demon's Souls. I think I'll put Demon's Souls maybe here. Based on what I've seen, I think it's a little bit more frustrating and maybe a little bit less polished than the modern FromSoft games. But I'm just saying based on like what my gut feeling and what I know. So I could be wrong. But my gut feeling is I would probably enjoy this less than Sekiro and the other Dark Souls and stuff. So I'll put it there. It's probably still cool. It's just my gut feeling is that maybe it's gonna feel a little bit dated compared to like Elden Ring, which I've played in the recent years, you know. Okay. God of War, that whole franchise as a whole, I think I would enjoy that a lot. They seem like really cool and fun games. It's just annoying that we're on PlayStation at a time when I didn't have that. And there hasn't been any remasters or anything like that, which I keep waiting for. I'm not going to play the new ones before I've played the originals, because that's... Okay, maybe I'm just a little bit... whatever, you know, that's just me. I prefer doing it that way. I don't want to play the new ones before the old ones, before I play the old ones, you know. So, but I do think I would really enjoy them, especially if there's a remake of them. I think they would be cool. Okay. Let's see, the new Hitman stuff, I'm probably gonna go on a bit of a rant here. I think I would enjoy these, but I just like, it's such a frustrating business model of this like renaming or releasing a new game, then calling it Hitman, and then they release like Hitman 2, and then like Hitman 3, and then there's all this like weird stuff with like, oh, you have to buy this package, but this package includes all the stuff from Hitman 1, so you don't need to play Hitman 1 because you have it in Hitman 2, blah blah blah, but if you want this package, you have to buy this game, and it's just like, I've just given up. Every time I look into it, I give up and I play something else. I think it's a cool game, but it's just like, I just give up every time. I just look into like, which version should I buy? And then there's like a guide on how to do it, and it's just like, you know what, that's stupid. So I still haven't played it. Yeah. I think it looks like a cool game though. It's just, or those 3 games, which now count as one game, I think. I don't even know. It's just like, it's just so annoying. I just like don't want to touch it. Okay. Deadly Premonition 2, that's a weird one. I think I would still probably enjoy it more than these though. I did like the first one. It's kind of very janky and weird game, but it has a lot of atmosphere and like it has a very special like mood to it. It's like a Twin Peaks ish type of thing. Very interesting game, although very janky. And from what I've heard, this one is like even more janky and maybe not as good. It would still probably be a bit interesting, but I don't think it would be that cool. Like, I'm not sure if it's gonna capture the spirit of that first one. Okay. Let's see. This is something... so I've played... So this is very specific. I've played Fable. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But the Fable The Lost Chapters version with this extra content, I never got around to playing that. So I might put that... Oof. Oh, that's harsh. I don't know. It's a bit tricky to put like one game above like the totality of like Zelda or something. But I guess we're basing it off on not the enjoyment out of the whole series, but more just like the game that I would enjoy the most, like what level of enjoyment would I have. So I guess that's sort of how I'm ranking it. I think maybe I would put Fable Lost Chapters there. I'm thinking about putting Final Fantasy below. But it is also a game that I have played many times, so most of the content is already old stuff for me. So maybe actually I should bring it down a notch. Yeah, I think I'll put it there actually. Even though it is one of my favorite games, it's just most of the content won't be new to me, but that like extra stuff would be very interesting to check out. I never got around to playing Fable 3. A lot of people have said that it's kind of just not as good as the other ones. So, but it's still a Fable game. I would probably enjoy it somewhat. But I have heard that it does have some problems. But it does have John Cleese voice acting some guy, which is interesting, which probably would be funny for me. But yeah, I think I'll put it there. I think that's fair. Overlord, that's like a weird game. For some reason I had an idea that I wanted to play this. It looked kind of fun. You're like controlling some sort of minions and you have to make them sort of attack for you and do stuff for you. It's sort of like an adventure action thing. It looked kind of fun, but maybe not the most interesting thing ever. But I always had an idea that I wanted to try it. Okay, let's see. Manhunt 2. I don't know about that one. It's like... Because I remember the first one, I played it a bit, and it was it was kind of frustrating. It's kind of, I think it's probably on a similar difficulty level, where it's kind of, I just get an impression that it's not going to be that fun. I mean, the game is almost like a gimmick, I feel like, and, you know, yeah. So, I think I might even put it... Maybe, I don't know. Maybe here. If it has that frustration element, maybe it'll be lower than that. But maybe higher than these. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. From what I've heard, that's a very good RPG, just in like a vampire setting. And I think I've heard people like compare it sort of like to KOTOR and games of that like era. So I think that sounds very interesting to me. So I think I'll put it up here. I have an idea that I might really like this game. But I actually haven't looked much into the mechanics or the combat, but I think maybe it's based on like a D&D sort of like tabletop system or something, which to me sounds very interesting. Okay. Well, we could finish the FromSoft trilogy here. Bloodborne. Does that go above Sekiro or below? I've played a little bit of it. A little bit at a friend's house, but I didn't finish it, obviously, because I was just playing it for like an hour or something. Maybe... I guess in my brain it's sort of the same experience, but it's more about which one would I probably prefer. Maybe I'll prefer Sekiro. Yeah, maybe. I'll put it like that for now. Still waiting on a PC release, by the way. Which is basically the reason I haven't played it, you know. Let's see. Mass Effect 3. When that came out, there was so much controversy about that one that I kind of skipped out on it. And then I just never got around to actually getting into it. But I do have the Mass Effect Legendary Edition now, so I could just play this when I want to. I want to play all 3 games here on the channel, though. But the question is, where do I put this? I know I really like the first and the second game, and I think people were saying that the game is good, it's just like they didn't like the ending or the story or something. So maybe I can... I don't know. Maybe we can look past that and put it put it at the top of A, because I do really like RPGs. That's just how it is. Okay, Gorn. That's a VR like kind of gladiator fighting game. I think it looks like a lot of fun, although maybe it's not gonna provide you like 20 hours of fun. Maybe it like runs out of juice after a while, but it looks like it's gonna be fun. I still need a VR headset for that though. The question is, I guess, yeah, I'll try there. It looks very fun. And there's a sequel too, which I could put there, but whatever. I also just realized that I do not have Persona 1 and 2 in here, but I guess maybe I can add that at the end or something. We'll move on for now. Time Splitters 1. Oh, that's a weird one because I've been playing Time Splitters 1 inside Time Splitters Rewind recently, and what I'm learning is that Time Splitters 1 doesn't really have a story in the same way that 2 and Future Perfect does. And I think the story mode is, to me, that's usually the most important thing, and then the arcade and the multiplayer is sort of like what you played with your friends outside of the story, you know. So since it doesn't have a story, and these days playing like split screen with your friends is not really that easy to come by, I think I'll put it, although I am enjoying Rewind, it's just, you know, maybe it's not that, if you base it on Rewind, I'll probably put it like here or something. Yeah, because the story mode is pretty bare bones in the first game, which is something I didn't know. I assumed it had a similar story, but it doesn't. It feels more like arcade missions. Okay. Halo 5. I know a lot of people hated this one. I assume the gunplay and stuff is good, but I think like maybe they did stuff with the story that was just like super boring or bad. But I assume the gunplay is gonna be decent. So if I were to go and play that now, I might find it to be okay. Might. I'm not sure. I'll put it there for now. Okay. Dead Island, that's like a zombie game that looks fun, but it looks a bit janky. But it looks like you can kind of run around and just mess with zombies, which does seem like a good time. I might put it here. Yeah. Although I know probably a lot of people that like Metal Gear Solid might look at this and feel like this is blasphemy. But it's just based on my impression of what that game was, and I don't really know that much about this one specifically, so I could be very wrong. But we'll just move on. DayZ. I guess you can kind of lump in the Arma free mod in this category. I think that would be interesting to play, but maybe... Where would I put that? Because I like the idea of doing like a proper zombie survival thing, but maybe now it's not gonna be that fleshed out, like maybe these days, because I think this is a little bit old and maybe it doesn't really have that much. I think I'll put it here. I feel kind of safe doing that. Okay, and what the hell is this? Oh, I think this is like Ni no Kuni or whatever. I've heard about that and people keep talking about it, and I think like it seems like it could be interesting, but I really don't know that much about it. My guess is it could be... I think it's like a JRPG, so it could go here, but I know very little about it, so it's based on very little. But this is where you can comment and let me know like what sort of stuff is this, like based on what I like. If you've seen my other videos, you know, you can kind of just give me your thoughts on the games. It's all just fun and games anyway. Spyro, the Spyro games, that has a remastered trilogy now, which I might eventually play. It's probably not the most interesting thing ever, but I think I feel safe putting it here. Just like a fun little adventure game, nothing like too crazy, kind of just in the middle of the tier list here. PT, that's an interesting one. I do really like horror games, but obviously it's just kind of like a playable teaser, like it says in the title. So, I mean, it might be very good, but it's also very short. So, I'm not sure if it's going to be that big of a deal. It could be very interesting to play, but then there's also this element of, you know, once you play it, you just realize like, oh, that's it. There's nothing else to it. You're just reminded that this was supposed to be like a Silent Hill game that looked really promising. So yeah, and you also have to go through the hassle of finding it online, I guess. Probably not a big deal, but I'll put it somewhere in the middle there. Okay, let's go with... I guess we can go with this new Metal Gear Solid game. Seems like people like it. I think that could be... I have a feeling like it's better received than this one. So I might put that like here. Yeah, I think that's fair. Speaking of Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, I think that looks like a really fun like action game. So I feel kind of confident putting it in this. Not sure if I would enjoy it more than this FromSoft games though. I think I'll put it there. I think that's safe. They're kind of a little bit similar, you know, like the third-person melee action sort of thing. So I think in my brain it becomes almost like the same sort of category. Okay, Daggerfall. It's very interesting, but I'm not sure if I would get that much enjoyment out of playing it now. Because I think it is very dated, but maybe if you have some mods to make it a little bit more bearable. I've seen some people try to play it and like they're just so frustrated. So yeah, but it could be interesting because I do really like Elder Scrolls. So it could be an interesting experience. I'll put it there. Okay, Monster Hunter. I don't really know anything about them. But it seems like they're sort of like an open world RPG thing where you fight monsters, which seems interesting to me. So I think I'll put it there, but I think some of them are kind of leaning heavily into like online stuff. So that's probably the reason it doesn't go higher. Yeah. Star Wars Battlefront 2. I remember the first one was a lot of fun back in the day, but I only played the second one like for 5 minutes at a friend's house, and it felt like it was kind of maybe just more of the same, except that you can play as like Jedis and stuff. And I think now if I were to go back to it, it wouldn't really be that interesting. It would kind of just be a little bit like dated probably. But yeah, I played the first one a lot and that was fun, but I think now it's probably just not there. Prey, this is a game that I'm planning to play very soon, hopefully, on the channel. I think that's something I would put maybe around here. It looks like an interesting game. I've heard a lot of good things about it. So this one goes really high. So this is one of the games that I'm going to be playing soon, I think. After I finish a few other games, I think. We'll see when I get to it. The order I play games in on the channel is a little bit depending on what I feel like at the moment, you know. But I guess the stuff from these two ranks are going to be way more likely to show up, you know. Okay, I guess we could say original Resident Evil games, because I've only played like the remake of 2, 3, and 4, and 1 and 0 actually, so I've only played the remakes. So the originals, like the original Resident Evil 3, I think I would enjoy it, but having played the remakes, I might be a bit spoiled, and maybe it'll kind of ruin it for me. So I'll put original Resident Evil games here, sort of. Okay, Silent Hill 1. I didn't really get around to this one much back in the day. It's kind of the same thing as with this. And now that I know there's a remake on the way, maybe that can be put... I don't know. Because the old ones do have that very creepy kind of lo-fi look to it, so I might actually go ahead and... If I had like a working version of it that worked on PC and there was like no hassle getting it running and stuff, I think I could safely put it maybe here, even though it is old and stuff. But I think it's... yeah, I think maybe this is one of those games that in one way benefits from its kind of dated style. Possibly. So I think I'll put it up there. But I'm definitely getting the remake, by the way, when that comes out. Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Yeah, I might put that like around... Maybe here, actually. I'm just comparing it to the other games around the same area. Yeah, it's a little bit like a tough one, because now we have like Borderlands 3 and 4 that has come out after this. So playing this might feel a little bit outdated or something. But I actually haven't played... Well, I actually haven't played Borderlands 3 either. Which is also on the list here. So I guess those two will probably go next to each other. A lot of people said a lot of bad stuff about Borderlands 3 though, but I think when they made some DLC, I think maybe stuff got a bit better, so mechanically it's probably a better game. And this one seems like it was a little bit of a nothing burger maybe. So yeah, for now I think that's fair. I did really like the first and second game. But then I heard so much about this one, and this might feel a bit outdated, and it seemed like it's kind of more like a spin-off kind of thing. So maybe it's not really that intriguing. So I'll put it there. That's fair. The whole Splinter Cell, basically everything after Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, or whatever the third one is. Maybe I'll put those around here. Splinter Cell, maybe above that, I don't know. But I do know they made like Blacklist, and there was a few others as well that changed up the style a little bit. I don't know. I think I would enjoy those. But I never got around to play. I only played the first, the second, and I think the third. Possibly the third. I'm not sure. It could be that I only played the first two, actually. Okay, Halo 3 ODST. To me, it goes in the same category in my brain as Halo 5. Since so many people hated 5, I think maybe this is maybe a safer bet. Based on that, and only that. And this, I guess, goes in the Resident Evil original Resident Evil game category. I'm not sure why I have both Code Veronica and that, but I think if we're gonna place this, which I think is like a spin-off, I heard some people say there's a lot of bad stuff about this one, so maybe I'll place it below the original main games, just based on almost nothing, but you know, that's what this thing is. The Fatal Frame series, they have like some new ones and some remakes and stuff going on now, so I think that might actually go pretty high. But how high? Maybe here? Yeah, I think that will be some interesting games to play. Next to another horror game. Maybe that's just my brain categorizing what I would be most up to or something. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna play some of these on stream and stuff once I get around to it. And then basically the whole Call of Duty series. And a lot of people say a lot of nice things about some of these games, and some of them I think have kind of like these iconic campaigns. I don't play like multiplayer in games like this much. So for me, it's the campaign that's the interesting part, and I think I would enjoy it actually, because from what I've seen, the gunplay is very good, and some of these campaigns are supposed to be pretty cool. So I might put it like here, but I don't know which specific one would be the best one, but I've heard like good things, so yeah. And then we have the whole Far Cry series. If I were I don't know, I played Far Cry 1, and then like Instinct or Predator or whatever, and then I think I played Far Cry 3 with the guy with the mohawk and everything. And then every other game has just, you know, there's so many. I think they would probably be fun. Maybe I'll put them there. Yeah, I think that's safe. Neverwinter Nights. I did play these, or I played the first one a little bit, but I never really got to get really going with it. But it seemed like a very interesting one, and from what I know, it's sort of like made in the same engine or something as KOTOR, if I recall correctly. It's that sort of style anyway, almost like Dragon Age, KOTOR, you know, that whole thing. So this to me is very interesting. I think if I were to play a very well-working version of this, I could probably put that next to Mass Effect up here. Yeah, so both games, the first and the second one. Guild Wars 2, that's one game that people talked about a lot, but I think it's mostly like an MMO sort of thing, so I don't know, it might not really be that interesting anymore. I just remember people talking about it, and I was always meaning to go and try it, but then it just never happened, and yeah, maybe by now it's not really going to be that interesting. Let's see. Ninja Gaiden 3. I played Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 on Xbox, and they were really cool and very difficult. But I never got around to the third one, and I do remember there was some... I think people said there it wasn't as good as the other ones, so... And I do remember it's probably maybe as frustrating as the other two. So maybe I'll not enjoy that as much, so maybe I'll put that at like here. I'm not sure though, it could be better than, maybe I'm just misremembering that. Okay. True Crime Streets of LA, that looked interesting back in the day when I looked at screenshots and stuff. And it apparently has a really huge map. But I'm guessing it's probably not that good if you compare it now to something like San Andreas or something. But it could be interesting. I think I would probably enjoy it more than these. So yeah, I'll put it there. I always thought about playing it, but I never got around to it. Saints Row, well actually this goes sort of in the same category. I think this is where Saints Row kind of started taking its new identity on, you know, because the first game was kind of just trying to be like some sort of GTA thing, And then in the second one, I think they kind of lean more into the humor and craziness, which I think gave it a little bit more of its own character. But I actually never got to play this one. I only played 1 and 3. I did like 3 though. It was very just crazy, but yeah, I missed out on this one. I think I could put it here. Heroes of Might and Magic. I've heard that the 5th game is very good. Oh, so that's a tough one to place. Maybe with a new one around the corner, I won't really find it that interesting. Maybe here. So it will be probably cool, but then maybe I'll just feel like waiting for the newest one, you know. But people did say that the 5th one was very good, I think. I think it was the 5th one people are kind of raving about. It's like either you like 3 or you like 5. If you like anything else, you're a weirdo. That's based from what I've seen. So I think that could be cool. Every Pokemon game after basically Pokemon Yellow, I think. They are very nice games. They have a very nice gameplay loop and everything. But if I did have a Game Boy, which I don't, maybe I could put that above Far Cry, because they are quite enjoyable. But also I don't follow like Pokemon lore, you know. I just know that like first generation of it, and everything that came after that's a little bit unknown to me. But it would probably be interesting. It probably has some cool stuff in it. But I just didn't follow that because, you know, I'm not 2 years old anymore, you know. But I think it's still cool. It's just Pokemon did have more of an appeal when you were kids and stuff, you know. Shadowrun games, that's actually one I will go ahead and put up here, maybe. Oh, I think I can almost, I'm actually almost thinking about putting it here. Yeah, you know what, I'm putting it there. Like an isometric RPG, sort of tabletop type RPG game in that setting that looks very interesting. I think I would really enjoy it. So I'll probably play these on PC. The only thing I'm worried about is if these are a bit outdated, or if the ports or whatever. I guess maybe they are PC games to begin with, but just worrying about like if these versions are a bit like decrepit and old. But then again, a lot of my favorite games are from a long time ago, so it doesn't necessarily have to be anything bad. Let's see, Terraria. Could be fun to just like mess around in that, but it's probably not like a big thing for me. I mean, placing it above, yeah. I think this is a good spot. I feel like I hover a lot around this. This is kind of like my baseline for a lot of things. Like, does it go above this or below this? For some reason. Sorry to any Metal Gear fans out there, but yeah, it looks fun, but maybe it's not the most, you know, I like Minecraft, but it's not something I really play, because it seems like it's this kind of endless game, and I kind of like to finish games, if you know what I mean, so I can move on to something else. So maybe it'll be a similar thing where I'm not really gonna finish this if I even start it. Heavy Rain, that looks interesting. It was always just a PlayStation game, but now it is actually available on PC. So I think I could safely put it above. Let's see. Although some people say it's more like one of those games that's more like a movie. I think it fits there. I think it seems like an interesting game. Yeah. Evil Within, I think I would enjoy these. I just haven't gotten around to playing them yet. I guess it goes in this horror category here. What would I enjoy more? Maybe... Yeah. Okay, I think slightly above Fatal Frame. I think that's fair. Speaking of horror, Clock Tower. I think I played a little bit of one of them back in the day, and there was like a guy with like a hedge scissor chasing you around. It was pretty freaky, but I didn't really get further than like maybe the first 20 minutes of the game or something. It was not something I actually got to play properly. So I think that would be interesting. I don't know how janky these are, but I think to me it would be probably more interesting than playing the original Resident Evils, because I've played the remakes, so it might not feel that fresh, but maybe it's not going to be as polished as some of this stuff up here. So I'll put it there. Actually lands next to some horror stuff again. I guess maybe that makes sense. Hopefully it makes sense. BioShock 2, that's one that I always wanted to try, but then from what I've seen, it never really lived up to what the first game was. But people did still say it was kind of cool, so I think it can go... I think it can go here. I think that's okay. Okay. The Ace Attorney games, they look interesting. Yeah, I've never played them, but it looks fun. It looks like a funny sort of detective sort of thing. I think I can put them next to Monkey Island there. Yeah, I think that's okay. Okay, Devil May Cry. I think from what I've heard, some of them are kind of bad. And they have maybe like a kind of difficulty thing going on that maybe won't be that enjoyable. But then I've heard that a few of them are really good. So that kind of changes things as well. I think I might put it... Maybe I'll put that here. Just above Call of Duty and just below Gorn, because that just looks very fun. Although these are probably like better games, to be honest. Oof. Yeah, okay, I'll put it there. That's fair. Stubbs the Zombie, that's another one that I always thought like, oh, that looks kind of mildly interesting. And now I actually do have it on Steam, on a remaster, so I actually do want to play this. Although I don't think it's going to be like the most amazing game ever, but it looks like a kind of just fun, casual, sort of like adventure game sort of thing, with like a lot of humor in it, so it does look amusing, let's put it that way. So I think I could put it like here, maybe. Let's think about that. Yeah, I think it's fair. Okay, John Woo's Stranglehold. That looks like another just kind of in the same category. It just like looks like kind of a fun shooting game sort of thing. I played the demo back on the 360, I think. I think it was one of the first games that came out on 360 back in the like first era of the games on that. I think we can put it there. I remember it was cool and fun, but maybe it could be a bit dated now. I'm not exactly sure. Gothic. I played like 2 minutes of the one of them, and it looked very interesting, but it felt very janky. But it does look like the type of game that I really like. But if I were to play the original and it's like super janky, maybe it doesn't go as high. That's a scary thing. Oh, that's tough. Because I hope the remake is going to be good. because the main thing, if this was like not janky at all and like modernized to a point where it's like easy to just boot it up on Steam, it would probably go like up here somewhere. But because I think it's gonna be a jank fest, I think it's gonna like diminish my enjoyment of it quite a bit. So maybe there. Yeah, I think so. Crysis, that's like, I don't know, people were always talking about this because of the graphics, and it wasn't really something I thought much about, but it seemed like a lot of people enjoyed the game too. Yeah, maybe something like this. Feels fair, nothing crazy, but it's probably okay. Dead Space 3, I actually never played that. I think that's when they started doing some co-op stuff, and I think some people didn't enjoy that so much. But I think, I assume you can play it alone, which is probably still good. Maybe I'll put that... maybe here. That's probably okay. Okay, Postal, the original. I don't really know much about it. I've only played the second one a little bit, and it's like super funny and stuff. The first one would be interesting to go to though. I think it could be fun, but I don't know that much about it. So it goes kind of here, like in this kind of uncertain area. Okay, let's move on. The Tomb Raider games, I have the remasters now. I think it looks kind of fun. I actually think I'm gonna enjoy playing those. Maybe there, yeah. Chrono Trigger, that's one of those like old school JRPGs. That's interesting to me. I think I can put that in this category too, maybe. Yeah, maybe a little bit dated, so it doesn't go like very high on these two top tiers. Okay, Jet Set Radio Future or whatever. I think there is a remake of that now, so that's probably more enjoyable to go back to. Probably gonna put that... I might put that above. I'm just thinking for each game what would be more fun. Maybe it stops around here. Yeah, I think that's fair. It looks interesting, but I never got around to playing it. Halo Infinite. This, okay, let's think about this from the perspective of Halo 5 and 3 ODST. A lot of people said that the campaign was kind of trash, I think. So maybe this kind of goes... Although, I am intrigued about the open world thing, because I think they made it into an open world. So I think it seems interesting. But maybe it's bad, because I haven't seen, so I don't know, but that's my prediction. We'll see about that. Enderal. This is something I'm going to be playing on the channel. It's basically like a total overhaul Skyrim mod. I think, from what I've seen, this is a very interesting RPG experience, so I can put that there. I feel sort of safe with that. The Yakuza series, I have played one of them on PlayStation, but then all of the other ones I've not played, including the Like a Dragon games or whatever, and they look really cool. So I think this also goes pretty high. Maybe at the top of A tier. Yeah, I think that's okay. Ark Survival Evolved. There's a part of me that thinks it's interesting, but it also looks like kind of like a janky grind fest. So I think maybe my enjoyment of that would stop maybe maybe somewhere like here. Yeah, maybe actually. I think it just keeps going lower and lower. Maybe here. Yeah, but I was always kind of interested in it, but then the more I see from it, it seems more like a kind of like a very grindy game. So, and also maybe more multiplayer focused. Welcome to the Game 2. That's an interesting like indie game, I think, where it's like a super like freaky horror game that looks very... It delves into some really dark stuff. Oh, I'm just thinking about how much would I enjoy that. It might go sort of in the same category as PT. Yeah, I'll put it there. It looks interesting. Max Payne series, that does look fun. It's kind of like the Stranglehold game, except a bit older. It's kind of like that same, a little bit of the same type of gameplay thing going on. So I guess what would I enjoy more out of these? I think maybe I would enjoy Max Payne more. I guess it has more of a reputation, and maybe rightly so. So I think I'll put that above that. Shadow of the Colossus, that's an old game that I never got to play, but it does seem interesting with the whole climbing on the bosses mechanic, you know. But it's an older game. I might enjoy it more than that. I'm just thinking, I'm just comparing it to each game that comes up above it. Yeah, maybe there. I don't really know that much about it, but it looks cool, and I think it has sort of like a cult following. Hunter the Reckoning. This is a game that I tried to get my parents to buy me at some point when I was a kid, but then it said 18 plus on the cover, so then I didn't get it. And then when I look back on it, it doesn't look that interesting. It's kind of like a top-down like shooter zombie thing. Looks like it could be a little bit fun, but maybe not that interesting. But for like a short little action thing, it might be okay. The only reason Daggerfall goes so like low is just because I suspect there's a lot of frustration involved in this old game, you know. So that's why it goes lower, even though I like Elder Scrolls a lot. Okay, Longest Journey. These games do seem interesting. There's like several of them, so I'll group them all into this. Sort of like an adventure puzzle thing. I think I would quite enjoy that. Maybe, to me it feels like it could be a similar game to Heavy Rain, but I think it's probably more interesting. Yeah, put it there. Champions of Norrath. This is something that I wanted to play like co-op on PlayStation 2 at some point, because it seemed like it was a little bit similar to the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance game, which was very fun as like a co-op experience. To play that now, I don't know. It might go... Oof, that's tough actually. Maybe it go, because it's a game I know very little about, and it's pretty old. Maybe there. Okay, Force Unleashed, Star Wars. That does look fun. And I do know a lot of people do enjoy those. But maybe it's a little bit dated now, I'm not sure. So I could probably put it... maybe here. Yeah, I think so. Okay, Path of Exile. I did really like Diablo 2 back in the day. and I have played this a tiny bit. And I do like this type of game, but it just feels like it's the type of game it's designed to make you just kind of grind and play for so many hours that it's just like, it never feels like you're gonna finish it. So that's something that kind of detracts. But like the core gameplay of this, I think is probably very good. It's just like one of those games, like at a certain point you just have to give up because it seems like it's kind of endless. But if we're going off like the gameplay, I don't know. This is kind of a tough one for me. Because it's kind of like, what sort of relationship do you have to a game like this? That, from what I can see, it's kind of like that kind of grindy thing where once you beat it, I think you're just kind of expected to kind of like loop around, and it's like, you know, just to get more gear and then just do the same thing over again and level up like a million skill trees. So it's this thing that maybe it's just gonna go on forever. So maybe I'll put it, I'll try there. It's a tough one, I can't really decide. Onimusha 3. I thought Onimusha 2 was a little bit weird and janky. So based on that, I think I'll put it a little bit lower than some other stuff. I think putting it in between here is fine. Icewind Dale, that's an isometric RPG. Based on my experience playing Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which was actually quite frustrating, I think maybe I wouldn't have that much fun if it has that same level of frustration from... Yeah, I mean... Maybe that's just my bias from having a tough time with those two games. Oh, crap, it's a tricky one. I think... Okay, let's see. I think we can actually allow ourselves to put it up here. I'm a bit scared about this one though, because if it has that thing with these older games where it's like doesn't explain anything to you, it can be very frustrating. Just watch my Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 playthrough and you'll see what I mean. Planescape Torment, from what I've seen, is a similar sort of story, but or as this type of game. So I think for me they go here. I've heard that Planescape Torment is very interesting and maybe a bit different though. So I think I would find that more interesting. So I'll put that there. Okay. The Stalker games, they do seem interesting. I have not played any of them. I think it's fair to put them maybe around this area somewhere. Yeah, I think so. Looks cool. Don't really know that much about it. The Metro games, they are actually, in my brain, they're sort of similar. Sort of this like post-apocalyptic shooting, maybe a little bit of like stealth and sneaking around. So I think I'll put Metro slightly below it. Star Wars Bounty Hunter, this has a remake out now, which seems like fun. I think I could do well to play that on here, actually. Maybe I'll enjoy it more than Max Payne. I do like Star Wars a lot, you know, so... Maybe I might actually go this far. Or... Okay, there. That's where it's placed. Okay. Kingdom Come Deliverance. That's a game that I have, and I mean to play it on here. I heard a lot of good things, and also heard some people find it very frustrating. But I've heard that if you stick with it, it's very good. So, as an RPG fan, I think it's fair to place that maybe next to, maybe slightly above Fable, The Lost Chapters. Okay. Kingdom Hearts. I think these games kind of need you to have some sort of relationship with Final Fantasy and Mickey Mouse, and like also there's one more IP, you know, like there's Disney and there's Square Enix, or maybe that's just those two. So maybe I wouldn't really get that much out of that combination, but from what I've heard, people really like these games. So I do think they are worth checking out. I could maybe enjoy them a lot. But based on not having that much of a relationship with all those characters, maybe it goes like here. Yeah, let's do that. Assassin's Creed games, basically every Assassin's Creed game after Brotherhood. I think there's a few that look interesting, like Black Flag and Odyssey. I think they look cool, but I know that Ubisoft has this like sort of game design thing where it's like this kind of repetitive, they have a little bit of like a slop type of thing going. But then again, people have said so much good stuff about Black Flag that I think if I played that one, that would probably be very enjoyable. So I guess it makes sense next to Far Cry. It might be more enjoyable. Yeah. I mean, the Far Cry games, I don't know about those actually. It's tricky to say. The Suffering, that's an old horror thing that I never got around to play. Maybe this is a game that I'm expecting to maybe be a little bit janky. So maybe it wouldn't be that much fun. Maybe I'll put it like... Yeah, it could actually end up maybe down here actually. Yeah, I think so. Grey Matter, that's from the creators of Gabriel Knight, as far as I know. That's one of my favorite games of all time, but maybe this one isn't quite as iconic or whatever. I played like the first start of this game at some point, but I never got very far. It did seem kind of interesting though. I do like this type of game. It's kind of in the same category as Monkey Island. But would I enjoy it more than some of this stuff? I think I could put it here. Or, no, that's kind of tricky actually. Maybe I'll put it... Oof. It's so tricky sometimes to decide. Maybe some of the best Call of Duty campaigns are good enough to push it down there. And then Stubbs the Zombie. Yeah, okay, that's where it lands. In this area, I think so. Among Us, I never got to play that. I don't really know what the mechanics are. I just know it's like you're supposed to be... Somebody's an imposter and there's somebody's suspect. And you're trying to figure out who the liar is or something. It does seem like a lot of fun. If you have friends, which I don't. So... It's kind of like, let's imagine that I had friends to play this with. I think it would be fun. But then again, multiplayer is not like my favorite thing in the world. But then again, I think it would go above... Maybe here. Yeah, just like, it would be interesting and probably fun, but maybe not the most interesting thing ever. The Last of Us. I've never played the first one or the second one. From what I've heard, the first one is very good. But then from what I've heard, the second one is like kind of trash. So I'm a little bit worried that if I play the first one, I'm just going to be annoyed that the second one is not that good. But I think I would probably enjoy it quite a lot. just if we take just the first game on its own. Maybe in this area. Yeah, probably. I might play that here eventually. Blood Rain, from what I've seen, these are a little bit janky and they're a little bit old, but they do look like kind of a fun little action thing, but it's probably not the best thing ever, so I'm probably gonna put it like... Ooh, Onimusha? Probably below Onimusha, maybe. Probably there. That's probably okay. Bayonetta, that might go in the same category as like Devil May Cry. But I think these games, from what I've heard, have a bit more of a reputation of being a bit more like polished. So I think I could put them there. Sort of a similar type of game, so that's why I end up putting them next to each other a lot of the time, because in my brain it's a similar type of game, you know. Okay, Bioshock Infinite. Never played it. I just realized that it had like a very different style, so it didn't really feel like it was that connected to the first game. But from what I've seen, it's more interesting than Bioshock 2. But then it might actually just go next to it. I think I would be more interested in these than this. I'm not like a huge fan of the steampunk thing. It's okay, but it's not like something I really get into. It's just like whatever. Blood Omen 2. I played Soul River 2 and Legacy of Kain 1 and Defiance, but then I never got to try this one. And it always was one of these games I was thinking about, like, oh, I gotta play that someday. I never got around to it. I'm not sure now if it would be that good. I think maybe I can put it a bit lower because of that. I think it's gonna be a bit outdated, maybe. Maybe more interesting than Onimusha. Okay, XCOM games. I think this would be something I would enjoy. But maybe not more than... Maybe... I think at the bottom of A tier it's probably okay. The whole base, or like building your crew and the strategic combat, that stuff seems very interesting. I just imagine if it was more of an RPG. I think it's more of like a strategy game than an RPG, and if it was more RPG focused, I might end up putting it higher, you know. But that's based purely on what I know, and I know almost nothing. So this is where you comment once again. The Mad Max game, a lot of people seem to like that. It didn't seem that interesting to me. I don't have a big relationship with the Mad Max franchise, but it did seem like it was interesting enough for me to eventually want to play it. So I think it's fair to put it like here. Forbidden Siren 2, that's like a PlayStation 2 horror game that looked very interesting. So yeah, I think for me that's sort of in the same category as like something like The Suffering, but it does look a little bit more reminiscent of maybe Silent Hill type of stuff, so to me that seems a little bit more interesting. Space Marine 1 and 2, I haven't tried it, and I don't really have a big thing with the Warhammer 40k, but a lot of people did say this was really good. So I might put that in the same category as some type of action game like Stubbs the Zombie, maybe. Yeah, I'll put it there. Destroy All Humans, that's probably in the same category. Actually, that goes in the same category, I think. It's just kind of like a fun sort of action type of game, not to be too serious, you know. Depends. I guess I'll put it below Stubbs the Zombie, because for some reason this is stuck in my mind for a long time. Shin Megami Tensei, I think that could be interesting, but I think it's like it's leaning very little into story and more into just dungeons and combat, which is maybe like extracting the combat and the dungeon crawling from Persona and just making that into its own thing, which is maybe not as interesting as something like Persona, which has more story going on, from what I've been told. So for me, it might go a little bit lower because of that. And I've also heard that it can be very difficult and kind of frustrating. So I'll put it here. Okay, Tales of Mai et Jal, or however you pronounce that. It looks like a cool, very interesting, like roguelite type of game that has like a lot of possibilities within it. Like it's a huge kind of sandbox type of thing. And that does seem interesting to me, so I might put that maybe above XCOM. Or I don't know. I'm just thinking about, because it has a very limited like artistic style, but people say that if you get into the mechanics of it, it's really deep. Maybe I'll put it here. It seems very interesting. I'll definitely check it out eventually, but yeah, that's gonna be it for now. So those are the games that I missed out on over the years. So this is where you comment like, oh, that's your favorite game, or this one, you hate this game, this one is great. Or if you have some info on a game and why you think maybe I would like it, or maybe why I would hate it, or just some fun trivia about a game, just basically anything about these games would be interesting to hear. And maybe there are some games that I didn't get on here, so maybe I don't even know about them. But these are games that I knew about over the years that I was interested in, but never got around to. But there's obviously going to be games that I didn't even know about that could have been on this list. So if you know any games like that too, I would be interested in hearing about that. So yeah, that's going to be it. Please like and subscribe, leave a comment about anything, and I'll see you next time. Please tune into the live streams, and yeah, I'll see you later. Bye bye.